Welcome back to our monthly Power Pong robot session. Each month, we're going to be detailing a different aspect on how to train with the robot and which robot is most effective for you. So last month we did the Power Pong Omega. We're going to do Power Pong Omega again this month, and starting next month, we're going to dig into each of the different robots and talk about which one's best for you. This one is just under $2,000, but there's plenty of other models that produce similar quality balls that are in different price ranges that are even more affordable. And also, Power Pong has an amazing offer right now that you can do it in 12 one-month payments that makes it even more affordable with 0% interest. So if you're interested in getting a Power Pong robot, I'd highly recommend it. They make great Christmas presents. All right, so let's dive in and talk about our theme for today. Our theme for today is how to manage different types of spins that are coming at you. So most beginners, when they first start playing table tennis, their coach helps them work on topspin first. Forehand topspin, backhand topspin, and that's great. And you should be practicing that every day with the robot. Then maybe you go to the club for the first time. You go to a tournament, a lot of people start backspin and a lot of people play pushing rallies. So it's really important that the robot can produce different types of spins as well as different degrees of spins. Okay? So when you get to the table, you're gonna do some forehand and backhand warm up, and then you should be diving into mixing different spins, maybe loop against backspin, loop against topspin, and you need to be able to simulate a game because the closer your practice is to match play, and then the closer your mindset is in match play to practice, the more effective it's gonna be. So I'm gonna do some forehand and backhand warm-ups, and then I'm gonna dive into some loops against backspin and then loops against topspin with that kind of combination. All right, so let's check it out. Forehand warm-up. So I turn on my robot. This is the app. I can just drag that ball to wherever I want. I've got one topspin ball going there. If I want to create a cluster of balls, I can hit sample it just to make sure that that's the ball I want. And then here it says BPM, balls per minute. I'm gonna set it at 75 balls per minute, and voila, my forehand warm. One thing that we talked about last time is that when you're doing any footwork drills or any drills at all, you really want to be able to simulate a game. So as you can see, when my ball hits the net, there's a little pause, maybe like a fourth of a second before that next ball fires out. So based on the fact that I'm close and based on the speed that I'm hitting, 75 balls a minute is actually too slow. So if I warm up at that speed and then I go play somebody else, I'm actually gonna have less time playing them. So let's turn it up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and turn it to 90 balls a minute. Now remember, just because I'm setting at 90 balls a minute doesn't mean that's appropriate for you. If you're back a little bit or if you're hitting the ball a little bit slower, then maybe like 40 or 50 balls per minute could be appropriate. Again, we're trying to feel that we're simulating a game. When my ball hits the net, the next ball is firing. When my ball hits the net, the next ball is firing. That's our goal. So I'm gonna do the same thing, but 90 balls a minute. Okay, that's good. What else did we talk about last time? We talked about that you should be hitting different speeds, sometimes a little slower, sometimes faster, hitting different targets. And then we also talked about making sure that we're adjustable. So instead of warming up from just one position, if I wanted to, I can just hit clone and I can do a cluster of balls. We also talked about the fact that every drill is adjustable as far as random or mirror. So if I want to select drill number 2, I can do backhand, or I can just hit mirror, and then automatically I'm going to be doing backhand warm-up. Let's do backhand warm-up at 90 balls a minute. We're going to hit start drill. Okay, so regardless of what your theme is for the day, it's really important that you be able to warm up your forehand, warm up your backhand, that you have a light sweat going, that your muscles feel good, relaxed, and warmed up, and then you can dive in to your main topic of the day, whether it be footwork or serve return or loop against backspin or whatever it may be. So our theme for the day is going to be loop against backspin and then combining it with loop against topspin. So I'm going to scroll through. I've got 45 different drills in here. Okay. We're going to start with backhand loop against backspin. Now, if you want to check the specifications of the ball, you just hit that number and it will tell you speed, spin, side spin, delay, trajectory. You can move that ball wherever you want. That's what I love about it, is you can make every ball precisely what you want. Then you can sample it. I like that, that's pretty good. But I want to just lower the height a little bit. Right now the trajectory is 103. I'm going to put it down. Let's put it for just a little bit lower. Let's drag it down to 93. I want the speed to be up just a little bit. Let's sample that. That's pretty good. Okay, so it's a fairly low backspin ball, deep to my backhand, and I'm just going to practice that one over and over. Now, sometimes when you're just warming up a particular stroke, especially loop against backspin, doing it slower than a game is actually okay. So let's warm it up at 40 balls a minute. I'm just going to warm up my backhand loop against backspin. One thing that's critically important is that between drills, as you're picking up the balls or whatever, that you have a notebook out and you take notes and you're able to problem solve with really what's going on, okay? So I hit my edge quite a few times. Now, why was that? Well, there was a few different reasons. Why would you think would be one reason I'd hit my edge? See, it's important that you be able to problem solve, but some people are so stuck on, well, it might not be the right answer. Well, if you try to make some kind of adjustment, at least you're thinking in the right direction. I personally felt that I was hitting my edge because my wrist timing was a little bit late. So as soon as I changed the timing and I made my wrist go a little bit more forward, I stopped hitting the edge. So that's how I fixed the problem there. But same for you. There's hundreds of different problems that you could have. If you're doing well, remind yourself, why am I doing well? And if you're not doing well, ask yourself, what is it that I can problem solve so I can do better? Okay, so our main theme for today is loop against backspin and then loop against topspin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit that ball and I'm gonna clone it. Now when I cloned it, I gave myself the exact same ball. It's for spin, instead of -2, let's go ahead and go to +2. Let's sample it and see what we got. That's pretty good, but I want it just a little bit deeper. So I'm gonna give a little bit more speed and just a touch higher. Good, that's exactly what I want, okay? So I've got backhand loop against backspin and then backhand loop against topspin, okay? Let's see here. I'm gonna talk about the delay in just a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and play the drill and see what it looks like. There's backspin and then topspin. Backspin and then topspin. That backspin ball, I want it just a hint deeper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give myself just a little bit higher, not much, just a touch higher, and a little bit more speed on that backspin. There we go, that's a little bit better, okay. So you'll notice something called a delay. So each of the balls has a delay. So I want there to be less time between the first and second ball. So on ball number 1, I put plus 60% delay. On ball number 2, I hit minus 60% delay. What does that do? That simulates the fact that I get backspin, topspin really fast. And then I have a little rest, and then backspin, topspin really fast. So this is not like a game like backspin, topspin, backspin, topspin, backspin. Now I'm just working on simulating 2 balls. Imagine I just served and the ball came back. That's called third ball attack. And then the next ball comes back, that's called fifth ball attack. So I'm working on that third ball, fifth ball combination. Okay? So that's why I'm giving myself less time between first and second ball, but then quite a bit of time before we go back to that first ball. Again, I'm just simulating that loop against backspin, loop against topspin combination. All right, showtime. Let's try this out. Is that a good combination? Absolutely. It's a great combination. Loop against backspin, loop against topspin. Now, what if I wanted to add more topspin balls to it? Could I? Absolutely. All I'd have to do is hit that, and then I could just clone a few more, and I've got 1 loop against backspin and then 3 loop against topspin. What if I wanted to make it more complicated? I could just take these balls and I could drag them to different locations. So I've got backhand loop against backspin, and then topspin, topspin, topspin. So it's really easy to just touch and just create whatever combinations you want. Okay. Now let's go ahead and go to forehand loop against backspin. Let's go ahead and sample that one, see what we're at. Ooh, it's a little bit high, so I'm gonna put that trajectory down a little bit. And I want a little bit more toward the corner. Let's sample it now. Okay, now one thing that's important is after you get that ball that you want, just hit that save button and then your drill is saved. Also, if you adjust the drills at all and you have a student or a friend or a relative or a coach or whatever you want to send your drills to, just hit that ... button up at the top, and it's really easy to just email or text it to one of your friends if you want to share these drills. Same thing if they want to share it with you. All they have to be able to do is email or text it to you. You just open it up and it says, do you want to open it in the PowerPong app? You hit yes, and it's immediately saved into your drills. That's one thing I love about PowerPong robots is not only do you get 45 drills, not only is every drill easily adjustable, but it's quite easy to add drills, it's quite easy to share drills and receive drills. So, you know, within a couple months of using it and your friends using it, it's pretty easy to build up to a base of 200, 300, 400 drills. All right, so I'm gonna do some loop against backspin. And like I said, when you're just isolating one ball, you don't have to go that fast. So we're gonna do it at 30 balls per minute. Here we go. Okay, so sometimes people will practice the skill over and over and over, and they'll say, that's good that I practiced it, but did I actually make progress? Did I actually improve? I don't know. You know, when I'm playing against that guy that's 1863 at the tournament or at the club, I lost to him last week 3-0. I beat him this week 3-1. I beat him the next week 3-0. So I can tell that there's progress, but am I improving with the robot? Well, one way is to say, when you go play matches, do you feel a difference? The next way is to say, am I able to be more consistent? Am I able to land, instead of 70 out of 100, am I able to land 75 or 80 or 85 out of 100? Another one is, are you able to add more variations? So on this one, besides just hitting to backhand, hitting to forehand, hitting to middle, what other variations can you do? Well, you could do a timing variation, you could do a spin variation, you could do a speed variation, a height variation, you could loop shorter and deeper. For right now, I'm gonna give you one combination that I like to do. It's one ball, I'll wait on purpose. I'll let it sink down to the floor and I'll play heavy spin with good arc. Then the next ball, I'll hit more top of the bounce and I'll hit more of a driving loop. So I'm gonna alternate those. I want you to see if you can tell the difference between those two. Check it out. So as you can see, I was trying to give one a little bit slower, one a little bit faster. All right, I'm gonna drink a little bit here. I'm gonna pick up some balls, and then I have a couple more drills that I wanna show you before we wrap up. Okay, I'm back. So, loop against backspin. How do we do that with loop against topspin? Well, we can go to a different drill, or we can just adjust this one. We'll clone that ball. That ball immediately goes to backspin, so we're gonna change it to topspin. Let's give a little more speed, sample that. And then we've got our topspin ball. If we wanna create more of those balls, we just clone it and then move it, clone it, and then move it. So now we've got loop against backspin here. Okay, then loop against topspin, loop against topspin, loop against topspin, and then we go back to loop against backspin. So that's how you create and customize your own drills. The other thing that's really important, I'm gonna delete these balls and show you something, is that you not always loop the same degree of spin. So I've known many people, and their loop against backspin is really quite bad. They just don't have the feel, they don't have the lift with the legs, they don't have the spin. And so they practice with the robot and they actually improve it quite a bit. Then when they get to the club, they try to loop and the ball's going like 12 feet out. They're like, I thought my loop was pretty good. And it's like, yeah, it's good against one particular ball, but you need to be able to loop against different types of balls. So if you look at this ball right here, for the spin, it's -3. If we did that, now we do -2, or that we do -1. So it's important that when you practice it, that's -5. It's important that you be able to practice looping different types of spin. As you're very, very competent to loop the -5, or loop the -1, or loop the -2, what you have to be able to do next is combine them together, okay? So our first ball here is gonna be loop against backspin at -1. We're gonna clone it, and we're gonna put another one, loop against backspin at -3. So you have one against light backspin, you don't need to lift that much, and then one against quite heavy backspin, you need to lift more. And we talked about this in our last session, last month. Your goal for robot training is to become as unrobotic as possible. So once your basic strokes are good, once your footwork is good, once you feel that, hey, I'm stable, I'm consistent, adding variations like that you're dealing with different spins, this is critically important. There's one last thing I want to show you today. That's actually quite a difficult ball. It's kind of the floater backspin ball, okay? So I see people all over the country, they're practicing short game training, short push, flip, long push. And then they practice long game training as far as chopping, looping, blocking. But a lot of times when you push short, they kind of give you this half floater ball that's kind of up there, and people have a hard time dealing with it. Or if you serve like a short nose spin or short top spin, and then they push, this is quite common that the ball kind of comes up just like a little bit like that. Now people wrongly assume that back here you're looping and up here you're flipping. There's actually a reason that it's hard to loop the short ball, and that's because the table's in the way. However, I have to say, when the ball is up a little bit, the table isn't in the way. You should really be moving into the table and actually looping over the table. This is a really hard ball to simulate. I don't see that many people practicing it, but this is one thing that you can practice with the Power Pong robot. So, we're gonna do it, let's do it to the backhand, okay? So we'll give you like a kind of a short ball to the backhand, slightly high trajectory, fairly slow speed. Let's just sample it, see how it is. A little bit too slow. Sample it. There you go, just like that. And you see that one? What would you do in that situation if you serve no spin, you're waiting back here, you get this backspin ball that's kind of here and floating. What would you do? Would you jump in and smash it? Would you flip it? Would you push it? Would you loop it? What would you do? Okay. The answer really on this one is you should move in a little bit with both feet, but especially with your right foot. Get your right side of your body over the table and really focus on generating with your power, with your body, good power and actually backhand looping it. Okay? So this particular one, we're gonna put it at fairly slow speed, that way I have time to get back. We're gonna do 20 balls a minute, just a floater ball to the backhand, I move in, and then strong loop over the table. Showtime, let's go. So a ball like this is common. It's pretty common in games, but it's something that people don't practice. So you should be practicing with people every day. On the days that you can't make it to practice, you should play with the robot. On the days you can get to practice, and maybe there's somebody there for 2 hours, but you want to practice 3 hours, what should you do? Play 2 hours with people, play for another hour with one of the robots. It's really a good way of getting a lot of repetition for some very specific things, or to be able to expand to do game situation drills. This ball, this floater backspin ball, it's really one of the most important balls in table tennis. Can you find somebody that will literally just stand there and feed you that for an hour? Well, maybe, but that's not very efficient time to pay a coach $100 an hour to give you that. But with the robot, you can do an hour of that. And this is, like I said, it's a really important ball. So that's how you should be thinking as far as robot training. That's how you should be thinking as far as your game, is think, when I play with other people, what are the drills that I'm doing? But what are the holes in my game? What are the deficiencies that I have? Are there any particular balls, like that particular ball, that give me trouble, that I can play with the robot, and I can work on it again and again and again? Then what do? Then you go back and play matches. You go back and do drills, and you test your skill, and you say, was my robot practice effective? Doing that, did it help me with match play? If so, you're on the right track. And if not, then why not? And we gotta make adjustments. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, tt@samsondubina.com. Like I said, Power Pong robots are on sale, and they make amazing Christmas gifts. So make sure that you think about getting a Power Pong robot. And like I said earlier, they also have amazing offer because they have those 12-month financing with 0% interest. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.